welcome to today's session where we'll be talking about the future of payments as part of the Sopra Banking Software Summit 2021. My name's Will Kitson and I'm excited to be joined by Pierre Lababie, CEO of Gallit, a
Hello.
leader in the European payment market. Thanks for joining me today, Pierre. How are you?
Fine, thank you, and you?
Very well, thank you. I'm excited to chat with you.
Sure.
Why don't we get started with my favourite topic, statistics. You can maybe tell me, I think you've brought some figures and you have some figures you'd like to share with us. It might be a good place to start.
Yes, sure. It's a very good place to start because it gives a good indication of the momentum we have currently in digital payments. So if we come to a few figures that are impressive and that can be kept in mind, the first thing is that depending on the regions worldwide, you have a growth of digital transaction by around 10 to 15% every year. So this is a very long-term trend. And the key driver for that is the substitution of the cash. So we speak about card transaction, about mobile transaction, about direct debit, but all in all, a very strong growth. And this growth has been accelerated clearly by the pandemics last year, so over the past few months, where we have seen even more dramatic changes. So we have seen, for instance, a decrease of more than 40% of cash transaction, as you can imagine, during the lockdowns. For e-commerce, you see growth of maybe in the range of 30% in the different regions, compared to maybe 15-20 before the pandemics. So we see a major shift and a major acceleration of digital payments across the world and across the payment instruments.
Okay, well, it sounds like the future's bright after a difficult period for payments.
Sure, and we have seen a very important increase, for instance, in 2021, where for the e-commerce and the digital transaction, you had even increase of 40% sometimes in some countries. Yeah. So it's a very good indicator of the way the different national economies have rebounded after the pandemics.
Oh, okay, well, good to know.
Yes.
And what about the particular things that are driving the industry forward, like the things to do with digital transformation, industry transformation, that sort of thing?
Okay, so payment, it's a very interesting industry because you have many key drivers and many forces driving the evolution of payments. I will just give a few of them, but clearly they are all combined into this strong transformation of payments. The first one is technology. So clearly you have new technologies that makes things possible that were not before. I will speak about, for instance, marketplace or mobile payments. Clearly this is introducing new offerings in payments which are very interesting. Another one, for instance, in the technology is the fact that you can turn a mobile phone into a payment terminal to accept payments. This is also a new big change on the market. Second driver, I would say new entrants. Combined with technology, clearly new entrants. They introduce new technology, so these are fintechs and mainly big tech corporations. But they not only bring new technologies, they also bring new customer experience. So they have a very high level of expectation of their clients for the digital experience for payments and more generally for their services. So they are prompting a lot of changes also among more traditional players in payment.
Sure.
So that's a second factor. The third one also is that in terms of usage, the expectation from clients, both individuals and merchants, are very different. For individuals, they want to have payments that are simple, that are secure, that flows, that are more or less, I would say, embedded into their customer experience as in the purchasing in the store or in e-commerce. On the merchants, they want to enable all the different types of experience that they need to offer to their customers. For instance, they want to drive clients from the store to the web or from the web to the store to start on a channel and finish on another channel. This has to be also taken care for by payment offerings. So that's the third one. And maybe one also that we for sure need to mention is regulation. And the fact that payment is a strategic topic for any economy. You just need to think about all the activity, all the economic activity is going through payments. So therefore, it is a strategic topic. Payment is generating a lot of data. The transaction data, they are very rich, they are essential, and therefore, and this is justified, you have a strong regulation and a strong regulatory framework for payments, be it in Europe or in the different regions of the world. So the sovereignty and the innovation favored by technology and by regulation are key trends in payments, key drivers now.
Key drivers, yeah. Well, I mean, regulation is something that we do hear a lot about across the entire industry.
Not
just
only in payments, yes.
Yeah, and it seems to be a bit of a sticking point. You mentioned trends there, and that's actually my next question. So what about is there any key trends that you can tell us about, aside from the digital transformation, the transformation drivers, but the trends on top of that might be worth introducing our viewers to?
Sure. I will mention a few trends, maybe 3 of them. The first one, which is directly linked to the digital transformation, is instantaneity. So before you could have payments that would take a long time to be really recognized and realized. You want to repay a friend, or you want to see on your bank account the money that has flown in, and you need to wait 1 or 2 days. This is not possible anymore in a digital context. Everything needs to take place at the moment.
Yes.
And so you have the different instant payment solutions that have been brought by either regulators or by fintechs, and clearly they are gaining tractions because in a digital environment everything needs to go very fast. A second topic also related to the new entrants and the big techs is the embedded payments. So the payments, at the ideal, they need to be invisible. You want to purchase, you want to make a transaction, but you don't necessarily want to pay. You need to pay, actually. But the more it is simple to pay, the better for everyone, for the user, for the merchants, not to have any obstacle to the transformation of potential buyers. And therefore, the payments, they are embedded in larger ecosystem. If you think about a marketplace, you have different players, and the payment is inside it, and you need to make it simple. And maybe a more, disruptive trend that is worth also mentioning is about the cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
You probably have heard about stable coins. And so everything started with the bitcoins and so on, and a lot of activities going on around this cryptocurrency, but not really linked to the real world, so the transactions that you make every day. Now, with a project that was announced by Facebook, not yet implemented, you have the possibility and you have the perspective that even a new currency that is stable but based on the blockchain could emerge, either from the private sector or from the public sector. So these are the famous digital currencies from central banks that could, in the years to come, also play a role in payments.
Yes.
That would be a real revolution, in addition to all those that have already mentioned.
Yeah, well, you've mentioned quite a few, and cryptocurrencies is something that we just hear about all the time now as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Sure, but we have to say that if you take the payment perspective, cryptocurrencies and mainly through the stable coins, which have a stable value compared to real currencies, are really coming closer to the real world, I would say, because with these cryptocurrencies, which are stable, you can really offer new services and buy things. If you think that, for instance, PayPal and Revolut are now offering account in cryptocurrencies, if they offer this with stable coins, you can imagine how many people will get into this domain and use it on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
So this is also to say that these cryptocurrencies, they are now embraced by new players, which are not, I would say, in the crypto world, but more on the real and payment world.
Yeah, it's encroaching on reality. I'm sure we could talk about it all day, but I know you're a very busy man, Pierre. So I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Unless you have any final words you'd like to share with our audience.
No, well, it's a very enthusiastic moment to be in payments. There are many more innovations to come, and clearly at Galit and Sopra Banking, we have a lot to offer to support our clients in payments, definitely.
Great.
So thank you very much for the time, and yes, it was a pleasure to be with you today.
Great. Thank you, Pierre. And thank you to everyone watching us and joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing you next time.